aim of the SciberCity pilot is to create new approaches and methods for empathic environmental relations, strengthening environmental empathy through data and art-based methods. The name Sci comes from the beginning of the word science. Science comes from cyber, from the end of the word. We want to understand how data and other forms of evidence about the coronavirus and about the local environment can play a role in building connections, and how this can be mediated by art-based methods designed to build empathy. SciberCity has been inspired by the ongoing cyberpunk project of Lasse Kantala, Joni Lautala and Kiasum Olga students. Alongside cyberpunk brings scientific information related to the local environment and the coronavirus. COVID-19 shifted our interaction-based project into online. We operated in several closed groups, for example WhatsApp messages and phones and Zoom video calls, emails and an online platform where activities were given and communicated. Cyberpunk is an interaction tool which allows you to co-create dramatic and imaginary world of characters that can be used to address issues related to the environment, humanity, empathy and emotions, and the ecosystem. These issues are narratively dealt with in different dimensions of time: prehistoric, past, present and future. We decided to explore a local nature area, swamp, from where our pretext of co-creation started. Our goal was to build a cyberpunk characters, prototypes from experiments conducted during arts-based, data-based and environment activities. Our question was how to find connections to nature and to each other, especially through the computer in this time of crisis. Stages of a project. 1. Introduction and scenario building. 2. Defining the problem. 3. Interpreting data and capturing stories using prototype methods. 4. Prototype building and communicating data through a cyberpunk. 5. Evaluation of methods and prototypes.
We co-created dramatic and imaginary world of characters, swamp ladies, lads and others who travel in time and on their way face major changes in the ecosystem. We imagined their journey through time from the past in Linnaistensuo swamp in the present as they have migrated into the cities and are experiencing corona, and then into the future where they may become cyberpunk people who are adapted to be able to experience different types of data and information firsthand. Long time ago, before this type of a world we are now did not exist. Nearly 12,000 years ago, when the world was different, sunbeam was touching gently moss, while morning dew shimmering like stars all over ground and rocks in Linnaistensuo swamp. Our journey begins in the heart of Linnaistensuo, where shadow and light are born from the swamp. They grow together happily hand by hand, always doing things synchronously. Both them hidden thought being, we find beauty not in the thing itself but in the patterns of shadows, the light and the darkness, that one thing against another creates. Were it not for shadows, there would be no beauty. One day, a big black raven called Etiäinen is flying towards them, landing on their shoulders, asking,
Do you know about the future? Can you please tell me, what will the future look like?
First time in their entire life, shadow and light are arguing. They cannot agree about the future. Shadow sees that people are coming and cannot see any hope in future. Shadow see a time when all they love is gone. Light is more optimistic. Light thinks the people will bring love and joy of nature to the world. We will join shadow and light on a journey through time from Linnaisten-suo, then into the city of Lahti in the present day, and then into the future. Time goes by. It is so long ago shadow and light own memories faded with time. Them wondering how everything in Linnaisten-suo has changed since 12,000 years ago until now. Can you imagine what it might have been long ago? What do you think is better now? What is worse? Maybe some of the history of how the area has been used will help to answer these questions. Early this morning, before the first sun, Raven Etiäinen silently landed on shadow and light's shoulder and whispered,
There exists a transportory force that I shall call teleportation. I shall be accused of having assembled lies, yarns, hoaxes and superstitions. To some degree, I think so myself. To some degree, I do not. I offer the data.
Immediately shadow and light felt strong hypothetical transfer of energy, faster than anyone could ever imagine. Something started to stir them. The invisible hand beckoned them to the cities. On the way to another world, they are still carrying both shadow and light inside of them and carrying their living memories as stories passed through generation and generation. They did not have any sense of how the invisible hand controlling their mind, inseminating individual self-interest to their thoughts. Days and nights passed, no one noticing when they started to love the city, where they can be close to each other. Invisible hand inviting them to dance floor, singing and laughing, showing them all the tasty food and letting them to sense all the pleasure of drinking together and promises of togetherness, inviting them to try on beautiful hats, to wear beautiful colored scarves, to walk in the finest of finest shoes, to dazzle each other the finest pearls and rings. Oh, Raven Etiäinen with a heavy heart sensing a tragedy that is already invisible among them. Coronavirus spreading all over the world faster than no one would have guessed. With everyone in cities packed together, it spreads even faster. Reivin Etiäinen asking.
Will all this emerging new technology and data be of help with an awareness of humankind to find alternative visions to solve problems we are facing now? Or will it lead on a dark path to a more sinister world of big data machines and surveillance?
Time passes and suomujat gradually adapt. The world is changing and they are changing with it. The suomujat cannot escape the change and so they adapt and they move with it. But all the time keeping their own selves and their own ideals intact. In years they become cyberpunk and they have very different abilities and appearance to the one they have today. They use technology and data as part of their daily lives. Some of them become cyborgs and they make the technology part of their own bodies. But always they still think, how can we use these technologies and this data to keep our connections to the nature?
During this project, we prototyped an approach and toolkit to support the participatory interpretation of data that combines data literacy, techniques, and arts-based methods.
The toolkit will be tested via the co-design of an urban neighborhood artwork that channels local environmental data to cyberpunk character, posing the question what it's like to embody that data. The cyberpunk is an augmented human who has the ability to internalize, for example, sensored data as an extra sense through its own subjective experience or qualia. It was designed to channel the different perspectives and experiences of those participating in its construction, revealing their hopes and fears.